couple of quick safety tips. On set, wear shoes, not flip-flops. Lots of stuff that is going to bash your feet in, get smashed into your toes. You don't want to hurt yourself. It's not really good for climbing around. Wear real shoes, sneakers, boots. Protect yourself. If you notice, I like to wear all black, not just because I'm all gothy punk rock and all that stuff, but you tend to blend into the back of the scenery. Be comfortable. Don't have your phone on ring. Don't have a bunch of jingly change and stuff, because that's going to screw up your take. Other safety tip on set. This is gaffer tape. This is what you put on equipment. Do not put duct tape on anything. Duct tape is really hard to get off of things. Gets glue on everything. It's conductive, so if you're dealing with electricity, you're going to get zapped. So duct tape belongs nowhere on a set. If there's something heavy, get somebody to help you. If you're carrying stuff upstairs, get somebody to help you. I'm an old man with a bad back now. Why? Because I lifted stuff stupid. Lift with your knees, not with your back. Be conscious of all this stuff, because you're going to be running around doing stuff and you're going to get hurt. Other thing, electrical stuff. Water and electric don't mix. No matter what you think, there's no magical wire that you can stick in a big puddle of water. So be careful. Electricity, lights are hot. You can burn yourself. We will go over this stuff again and again and again with every class that you take. Really, be careful. Now that we've talked about pre-production, let's talk about production. Here are your steps. Number 1, get familiar with your camera and equipment that you're going to be using. Check the manuals online, practice with them at home before you get to set. You don't want to waste anybody's time. You want to know what you're doing before you get there. So any of the stuff that you're messing with, set your camera to manual. You don't want to have automatic, because that's going to do a bunch of stuff. You want to be a professional. You want to have manual focus, manual f-stops. We'll get into that later on. I don't want to get into the details of how the camera works. Also, for this class, you can borrow cameras from me. I got cameras, I got tripods. You can use your DSLRs, you can use your phone. Filmic Pro is a great program for like $5. You can do spot focuses and all sorts of stuff like that. And you got a 4K camera. If you got one of those fancy iPhones with the 2 dual lenses, you got a great camera right there. Right now, I'm not teaching you cinematography. That's for the cinematography class, and that's where you get to use, cameras that are worth more than a nice car. But for now, just the camera basics. This is the same for any camera setup that you're doing. Charge your camera. So if you're using your phone, charge your phone. If whatever you're using, it's going to have battery. So like, just as an example, this is the camera that I can give you. Charge the batteries the day ahead of time. This is stuff you do the day before, because your batteries might take hours and hours to charge. Do that ahead of time. Don't waste time. Also, when you charge the batteries, very important is put the charger and anything else you need back in the box. Get in the habit of this, because this is a good way to organize yourself. You take the lens cap off, put it back in the box. This way you know where it is. Make sure the box is in a safe place. Make sure your equipment is in a safe place so you don't get robbed, so it doesn't get tripped over, so you don't lose anything or break anything. Because if you break it, you bought it. So if it's my camera, you're buying my camera. If it's your camera, you're gonna have to buy it again. This stuff's expensive. You don't want to lose it. So it's just a good organizational thing. If you have a box, put it on a nice, safe table, somewhere away from stuff. Don't leave the camera in a cafeteria, in your car, in a hot car, anything like that. It'll get trashed and robbed. So make sure you pay attention to where you're putting stuff. If you're working with the camera, put put it on a flat surface so it doesn't fall somewhere. Let me show you something. When you're holding the camera, always hold it like a baby. If you keep it close to you, you become a steadying tripod. So this way, it's close to you, you're not going to drop it, and also it steadies your shot. I know, and you could use all sorts of other wonderful stuff I'll get into with making it kind of like a steady cam. Now, another thing with the cameras. Any camera that has a lens like this, don't hold it by the lens, hold it by the body of the camera. The lens is really not held on with anything great, and the more you hold the lens, the more you're just gonna boop, pop the lens right off. Here's your pop-up screen. Don't hold it by the screen because that'll also break right off. So always hold it by the body of the camera. Now every camera works like this. You take this part, you point it at what you're filming, you look in this part. There you go. Every camera in the world works like that. Every camera in the world is hold it by the body. So beyond that, it depends on what camera you're using, read the manual, all that other stuff is menus. Hit the reset button. If you borrow a camera from me, or later on in the professional world, when you borrow a camera, you never know what the last bozo did or set the camera to. This will set it back to factory settings. This way you can make the adjustments that you want to make. The SD card. Format the card. Most cameras use some form of SD card. Read the manual, find out what type of SD card your camera needs. Make sure you format it, because when you put it in the camera, the camera needs to understand the file structure of the card. So if you took this card out of a different camera or something else, it's not going to understand the file format. So you're going to have to put that in the camera and format it in the camera so you know that the camera is doing the right thing. Erase the card. Don't leave old junk on the card because that's going to mess you up too. What you do is you put in this camera, just put the card in. Make sure you're putting it in the right direction. Don't force anything in on a camera because that'll just break it. Put the card in the camera, format the card, and you're good to go. If you're using a tripod, which I suggest you do because everybody hates shaky cam, even though I'm using shaky cam because I only have my phone to do this with. If you're using a tripod, most professional grade tripods have a plate. So I take the plate off the camera. This is one of those things you're gonna have to figure out in each individual thing. Take the plate off the camera, off the tripod. And you're gonna put the plate on the bottom of the camera. The reason you do this is so you can quickly take the camera on and off the tripod when you're filming, so it's for ease of use. See, once again, hold it next to your body so you don't drop it or put it down on a flat surface. You can see these two little pointy things. They fit in there. Use a quarter, or whatever change you got, and you just screw that in. Not crazy tight, but tight enough where it's not going to move around. But not so tight that we're going to need a vice grip to get that off. And try to keep that plate straight. Some of the plates will even have a little thing that says lens, so you know which end of the plate goes where. All the plates are different, but they're basically the same idea. Tripod knobs, only get a little quarter, whatever turn that you need to loosen them. Don't unscrew the knobs until they come right off. Knobs aren't supposed to come off of things. That's how you break stuff. Any of these little parts, try not to take them off. Now, tripod legs, along with any kind of stand, usually come in sections. So you'll see where there's a wider section. Always use the heavier part first because that's going to give you more stability. You extend the heavy part down and then extend the smaller part down if you need it. If you don't need it, lock it on up and make sure that you lock stuff together. Once again, don't lock it too tight where it breaks, and don't leave it too loose where it's flapping around all over the place. Set up your shot on nice solid ground. More elaborate video tripods have what's called a fluid head. This is made so it can tilt, is up and down, a pan is left and right. So, once again, you have all these other knobs. Don't roll them off until they fall off. You could set these up so they're convenient to you. You see that little dot there? This little dot that goes in the circle, that is a level. What that does is it levels the tripod so you know your camera is perfectly straight. Now if you see over here on the bottom of this tripod, you got an adjustment where, see what I mean? It kind of goes loosey-goosey there. So you can move that around, and when that little dot goes in the circle, that's perfectly what they call plumb. It is now level. So when you put a camera on here, it's perfectly level, so you're gonna get a straight shot. Get in the habit of this. This is very important. Expensive camera on a plate. You're going to put expensive camera on tripod. You want to do this so it doesn't fall off the tripod, because you break it, you bought it, you don't want to break things. You're gonna find out where it lines up in the plate, slide it ahead. Once again, all these things are a little bit different. This one has a locking mechanism here. Now get in the habit of this. Pro tip, before you take this off, your hand off of this, give it a little shake, make sure that is not going anywhere. You don't want it to fall off. Gravity is very mean, it breaks things. So you don't want mean old Mr. Gravity to put your expensive camera on the floor and break. So get in the habit of, whenever you put this on here, get a little shake, and you're good. On the VG20s, you have a locking mechanism on the zoom. This is a manual zoom, it's not an automatic zoom like some cameras. So that locks this so it doesn't move. So once that's unlocked, now you can zoom in and out. Now, when you're filming, the way to focus is you zoom in as far as you can to what you're filming, and then use the focus ring to focus in. Then you zoom back out. That means everything from that plane to where the camera is in focus. So now you can zoom in and out all you want, everything will still be in focus. F-stops, they bring more or less light into the camera. So you're gonna have either electronically or manually on the lens, something to bring in the f-stop. That decides how much light is coming in. This way you can make something lighter or darker. These are things you're gonna have to play around with on your own with whatever camera so you get familiar with how that stuff works. That's a little bit more detailed than what I'm going in on now, but we'll talk about that at another point. The more you use this screen, the less battery life you have. So you want to put your eye in here. That's your better way of dealing with stuff. You're going to see things better through the eyepiece, but you could use this. That's fine. If you really want to get fancy, most cameras have some sort of an out, and you could go to just a monitor that you have lying around. It could be any portable monitor that you have. You could have an on-set separate monitor. We're not going to get that fancy with the stuff that we're doing. I just want you to be able to put a shot next to a shot next to a shot. As you move up in the classes at FDU, you will get access to more and more equipment. Each class is going to teach you a different thing. So as we move on, you're going to get really nice monitors, really nice cameras, really nice stuff that moves the camera, like riggings and all that stuff. Right now, you're just trying to do this on the cheap with a simple camera, and you're going to learn a lot by just doing that. Now you're going to be ready to film something.